This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at thebatmanuniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
Sawate, this is Stella, and you're listening to another Batgirl to Oracle Halloween commentary special. Batgirl the Oracle is also brought to you by MileHighComics.com, your new and collectible comic book store. Mile High Comics has an inventory of over 5 million comics from the gold, silver, bronze, and modern age, and over 100,000 trade paperbacks. If you're not into the vintage stock, Mile High Comics also has a subscription service called the New Issue Comics Express, offering a discounted price for comics ready to hit the shelves. So if you're looking for vintage back issues or a great modern subscription service, be sure to check out MileHighComics.com. Well, I'm excited about this particular episode because I really enjoyed the movie when I saw it. And when I was watching it, I think I posted on Facebook that I was watching it. And then this guy texted me or responded that he really liked it. And so I thought, oh, that'll be a perfect Halloween commentary to do. And I'm going to invite him on to do it with me. So welcome back to Batgirl the Oracle. But I think it may be the first time for Halloween commentary. I could be wrong. It's Joshua Bertone.
Ooh, it's a spooky commentary.
As they always are. You haven't been on one of these before, have you?
I think all the commentaries that I've done with you have been the end of the year ones.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think we've ever done like non-seasonal commentary, except for that Adam West one that you like tricked us into doing that. Like
tricked you into doing. You said you wanted to watch the film. It was my right to record it.
It was my right. Yeah, but like I didn't know it was being recorded. I was talking about like some stuff with a girl I was dating at the time.
You sure were. I'm thinking about that now. That there's a lot. I think I'd have to Frankenstein out of there.
You can't Frankenstein a commentary though, because it's like
I'll have to.
It disrupts the whole thing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. What kind of commentary is that? Well, hopefully there'll be no beeping names for this. But I do have one question for you, Stella.
Before you ask your question, just remember that my commentaries are usually out of continuity with the rest of my show. So
out of continuity. They're Elseworlds.
They are, because people can join on these and not have any context for like what else is going on there. So with knowing all of that, are you still going to ask your question?
Yeah. I have a question.
What's your question?
Can you tame wild women?
Well, I would, do I have a right to tame a wild woman? And why does she need to be tamed in the first place?
Because it's the, what year did this take place in? I don't
Victorian times?
I know it's like a generation after like the Civil War. So it's either like the late 1800s or the early 1900s. Because I remember Gordon fought in the Civil War. And like that was part of his backstory. But that could have been like 40 years ago or like 20 years ago or something. Yeah,
well, I mean, I don't know. Do you tame them or can you tame them? I don't think so. I don't think we have a right to tame them unless they're doing like terrible things to other people. What do you think?
I think that in my years, I think you're a good example. Like, no, women cannot be tamed. It's like forget the question of should you or or like is it ethical? Like it can't be done.
Okay.
Like Donovan, Shag, Panarese, Bailey, we've all tried to like calm your nerves, but you are a force.
Nerves?
Calm your nerves. You are a force. The nerve of the things you have to do to all of us.
Oh, okay, sure.
I did the wrong idiom, but I tried to, salvage it.
That's okay.
But anyway,
my zaniness, sure.
Yeah, tame your zaniness, tame your spirit. It can't be done. Nobody can subdue the passions of the Stella.
Oh man, I don't even know what people are thinking right now, but that's okay. So tame the passions. What we're gonna do is Batman, Gotham by Gaslight, and it came out in 2018, and they call it a steampunk superhero alternate history, which was based off of the 1989 Elseworlds story, which was a one-shot that was written by Brian Augustine, penciled by Michael Mignola. And yeah, steampunk, Victorian, but it is, what the great thing is about Elseworlds, if you've not done these at all, is they take your favorite characters and they put them in a new situation. It could be a new place, could be a new time like we have here. And some of the story beats of the character are similar, but oftentimes there are lots of changes. So, for example, Superman Red Sun. Superman, instead of landing in Kansas, he landed in Soviet Russia. And so, what happens after that happens? So here we have Batman in post-Civil War America and steampunk-esque, and how is that going to change the character? And of course, he's going up against Jack the Ripper, and we find out about that. So, and we have Sherlock Holmes too in this. So lots of fun things that he wouldn't be able to do if it were the present day.
Well, and also the what's the word I'm looking for? This is what happens when you do an all-night shift. But the it's not just like the setting, but it's like the attitudes of the time too. Like you like really were like, oh yeah, society was really sexist back then with like the men only nightclubs and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the creators, the producers, the directors really went into
The attitudes.
in-depth research, with the culture, with their costumes, their mannerisms, I think their speech as well. And you were very
Fetch
lucky.
me a handsome.
You were very lucky because you got to interview this cast when they were at DC in DC on, January 12th, I think? And then did you end up going to the museum to watch the premiere?
Yeah, this was you were invited too, but
Thank you.
this was a very good way to begin 2018 because this was like announced like almost last minute. Like I think it was like less than a month before it happened. I think I was like sitting down to see Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and I got like a press release on my phone from our pal Gary Mariano about DC and DC 2018 and like all this stuff, and I was like, maybe I'll go. I don't know. And I'm really glad I did. This was this was cool. It was not only this, but there was like, the premiere of Black Lightning and like this, cocktail party and stuff. But you would not go and Donovan wouldn't go. So I took Ben and we got there and we like had to like hightail from the airport in this like Uber to get to the press thing for this on time. I've actually never told this part of the story in public before. I've only like said this like part in private, but it was funny because like when we get there to the press thing late, we go to sit down and Ben doesn't even know that this happened, but I don't think he listens to every episode of BTO. So if he listens, then Ben's finding out about this for the first time. Gary looks at us and he like takes me aside and he's like, this is like a much fancier event. It's okay that you have Ben here, but don't let him ask any questions at the press table. So, and I was like, well, I screened them. He's like, I know, but like, we're trying to like make this, more of like a high end thing. So we sit down at this thing and like, he's getting ready to like do the screening questions thing for, whoever the first actor was. I think it was, Yuri Lowenthal or someone.
Oh.
And, so Ben's like in a whisper and I'm like, I don't want to tell him Gary said no because I don't want his like feelings to be hurt or something or like, so I make up an excuse like, oh, because the movie's rated R, like Warner Brothers can get in trouble if you ask a question. Well, what she bought, but then Yuri Lowenthal like looks at him and says, oh, I can tell that you have a question you want to ask. And like Ben like freezes because he's like, oh gosh, like, this actor's telling me, what's your question for me? And Josh just like gave me instructions. No, don't ask a question. And I'm like, oh no, we're going to get in trouble with Gary. What's going to happen now? But I basically gave Ben the signal. It's okay. The actor addressed you. You can go ahead and talk to him. So that's what he did. And the next day he was allowed to like talk to the people because those were run by different stuff. But that was, I was like, we're going to get in trouble with Gary. But, yeah, that was cool. We talked to Yuri Lowenthal and the guy that was on Gilmore Girls, which
Scott
I didn't
Patterson.
know. Yeah, Patterson and Jim Krieg. And I don't have all the names in front of me, but that was fun. Then afterwards, there was this like little cocktail party and, and like food and stuff. And, you were able to like mingle with the cast. And then they put you in this little like auditorium and they actually like gave you free popcorn, free candy, free soda. Like this was like very pampered. I was like, they never treat us like this in San Diego.
That's true.
And they showed us the movie. And of course I was the guy that had the 11-year-old at the rated R movie. So I was the horrible, Dad. I guess. What's the I get guardian, I would say. I was
sure.
like what's someone who takes care of a ward, a guardian, when you don't say parent. Yeah. And we enjoyed it. And it was interesting too because we had to talk about the different sensibilities of the time and the different attitudes because he didn't have all of the historical context, but that was a fun experience. And I'll probably mention more about like the little observations when we get to the actual commentary.
Sure, yeah. Well, yeah, let me run through the cast. So you mentioned a couple of them, but Bruce Greenwood was Batman and Bruce Wayne. This is not his first time doing that. Jennifer Carpenter as Selena Kyle, Anthony Head as Alfred Pennyworth, Chris Cox as Father Callahan, John DiMaggio as Police Chief Bullock, David Forsyth as Cyrus Gold, Grey Griffin as Sister Leslie and Selena Kyle's singing voice. Bob Joles as Mayor Tolliver. Yuri Lowenthal as Harvey Dent. Lincoln Melcher as Dickie. Scott Patterson as James Gordon, William Sayers as Hugo Strange, Tara Strong as Marlene and Timmy, Bruce Timm appears as Arkham Radio Man, and we mustn't forget Carrie Wooer, oh man, as Barbara Eileen Gordon and Pamela Isley. So there we go. So it's a pretty good cast, and yeah, you mentioned it was R, and I think now we're probably enough in that we don't have to keep mentioning, the number of R's that DC Animated has produced, but it is about the third or the fourth. I think the first or second.
There was that Justice League one we went to see that one time, where I remember a guy got ripped in half.
Oh, that's right, Gods and Monsters.
Yeah, was that an R? Because
gosh, it should have been if it wasn't. But wasn't Killing Joke touted as the first actual R?
I don't remember if it was touted as the first actual R, but I remember that being R.
Yeah, I'd have to check on Gods and Monsters.
Yeah.
Well, knowing this one shot was only 50 pages, and they ended up making about a 75-80-minute film out of it. And going through the interviews and everything, Josh, what were your expectations the first time going in to see this film?
So I had not read the one shot before the film, and when I eventually did read the one shot, I was surprised to see, oh wow, it's really, really, really different. Because I don't know, some of these movies they follow somewhat closely, but they said that they had said that they changed the killer in the movie because in the book it was really obvious. So I was so they said that they had to add more suspects so it wasn't obvious. So when I was watching the movie, I was trying to guess the killer, thinking, okay, who's someone that's looking obvious? To be honest, I thought that there'd be more steampunk, and which is when we were in the Uber from the airport on our way to the museum, and I was describing what we were about to watch to Ben. I was oh yeah, it's gonna be a bunch of steampunk stuff, and halfway through, he's where's all the tech that you promised me? I know that they did have the steampunk Batmobile. Not to say that we were disappointed. We just it was different than what I predicted it would be in my mind. I was just looking forward to a movie. I didn't have too high expectations because I don't necessarily enjoy Elseworlds a lot because I'm a big guy about, with continuity, and it's hard for me to get emotionally attached to DC one-off Elseworld stories because this isn't going to be an ongoing narrative. This is going to be a one-off thing. It's not going to have any consequence to a larger, story. We're not going to get a bunch of sequels or something. So I just don't connect with those as much. But I found myself really enjoying this and really enjoying the mood.
Yeah, I had read this one. I really love Elseworlds. I think they're just a lot of fun. Some of them are better than others. I remember reading Gotham by Gaslight a couple years ago, and I didn't refresh my memory in prep for watching the film. So I was just going in and thinking, this will be interesting. And I think for the most part, DC Animated are pretty hit. The miss ones, I can usually tell which ones theirs are going to be. So this one, I was going in with higher expectations and just interested in what this story was going to be like, how they were going to adapt it, and also what the Selena Bruce situation was going to be like, because I'm always on the lookout for shippers. So yeah, I think
this is a ship movie for sure.
It is. But we can pause it midway. No, I'm just kidding. But
what?
Yeah, just to, pause and rewind, but we'll tell the listeners that we're doing it so their time doesn't get off as well. No, we're not going to do that, people. But yeah, I think I was just going in with high expectation or, moderate expectations that I was going to enjoy it. And I guess we'll see if I was disappointed or not. But as always, we always bring things with us when we're going to start commentaries. Josh, this time, what are you going to bring with you as we watch Batman Gotham by Gaslight?
I'm going to bring with me just the special memories of DC and DC 2018 because that was one of the coolest events that I've ever been to, one of the coolest things I've done in my life, and it was a great way to begin the year, and this movie kicked off the event.
I'm going to bring with me my Batman and Catwoman wedding issue. And
Even though they don't get married.
Yeah, I know.
Spoiler!
I should bring with me Tom King. Tom King is sitting with me right now, and we are about to watch this particular commentary.
Is he your date?
No, he's married. But as friends, we are now watching.
Oh, so he got to get married, but Batman couldn't.
Yeah, we're going to watch this film.
That wasn't his fault. DC wouldn't let him do it.
Oh, interesting. So there's a side story.
Well, I think like Dan DiDio said it like something that like, no, we'll never allow Batman to get married.
I don't know if they'll allow anyone really to get married. I think I'll also bring a newborn Dilophosaurus.
So, by the time that this is out, maybe. Maybe
it's about that time, people. That bun
Donovan
has been
couldn't
baking.
be here for the commentary because he's nursing.
Yeah, there you go. That bun is out. That bun has been baked. Okay. Well, we are using the newfangled streaming service from DC, and it's going to start right at the red WB logo. So have that all queued up. Okay, so we are going to start in 3, 2, 1, play.
Okay.
Here we go.
DC. I like that logo, by the way.
They've changed. It seems like they change a lot, and at first you might not like it, but then you see it so often that it just gets into your mind, and you're like, it's actually okay.
Well, I like that one compared to the one that they had where it was like the little page turning, because like...
Oh, sure,
Yeah, they just said Jennifer Carpenter's name. She was not at this event, which disappointed me because I watched all of Dexter a few years ago.
Oh.
And I was like, I want to meet... it's funny, I watched all that show. I think her name was... I don't remember what her name was, but it was his sister. I watched
look at this.
Yeah. This is not for baby Dilophosaurus to watch. This is going to get inappropriate.
It will. Yes, the Gotham Gaiety Girls. And they don't show it or anything. Oh, there she is.
They did show a lot, though.
They sure did. Yeah, she's instead of tassels on the tatas, she's got leaves.
Like our pal Barbara. King, not Gordon.
Yeah. Senior.
Her, I remember she gets like a really like annoyed, like pained look.
Well, she doesn't seem like she's having a fun time. I mean, I guess that's her allure, perhaps.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't even think it's an allure thing. I think she's legitimately like not enjoying this because I remember she like sighs. Yeah. I'm like thinking of like the old Flintstone like cartoons where they're like, it's a living. I feel bad for her because I know what's going to happen.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's already, pretty foreboding going out into an aisle.
Pamela Isley, your angel of death awaits you.
That reminds me of a spoiler kid moment.
I'm actually surprised you held off. I mentioned him a few times in the intro.
I know you did.
You didn't
I try to
keep
it out of continuity, remember? I do like the fact that they have characters in here that they're not necessarily, this is Pamela Isley, but she's not necessarily like the Poison Ivy we know and love. But to have characters just pop up.
Yeah, well, I like instead of like just creating new characters, they're like just using existing characters,
right.
Which makes it feel like a Batman story. She immediately like goes to the proposition mode.
Sure, yeah. I guess it's a live-in for her. Her room.
Yeah, I mean she's into it now, or maybe she just needs the money.
Yeah.
No. So we're not going to spoil who Jack the Ripper is for the listeners in case they're watching this for the first time.
No, but once you knew who it was, did you see hints throughout?
When I rewatched, and like they even mentioned in the when they did the Q&A afterwards, they said like that. Yeah, like there's a point where like the character. Something that the character does in the middle of the movie changes context completely. You're like, oh.
Here are 3 Robins, not Robins.
Yeah.
That ain't real, Timmy. He's like Santa Claus.
And I like how Jason's a redhead, just like when he first appeared.
Right.
And also, I guess, because of Red Hood.
Sure.
Now pay up.
And of course, Jason's the one with the knife, and Tim has, like a staff. It's
Oh, there he is.
Holy shit!
What do you think about his cowl in particular? Just that his eye holes are larger than we're used to, and not blacked out.
Yeah, it's very jarring at first, but I get used to it throughout the movie, and it makes sense for like what this time period is, and like what someone who would dress up as Batman would probably look like.
Mm-hmm. It sort of reminds me, at first glance, of the episodes of Batman the Animated Series where someone's pretending to be Batman, and that was, as good as he could get his cowl.
Or Adam West.
Oh, sure, yeah. But otherwise, I like how he very much has like an old-fashioned cape or cloak that someone would actually wear out and about, and his utility belt. I think otherwise I really like this costume.
I think that was supposed to be Cyrus Gold. I don't remember.
Oh, you might be right. Yeah.
Oh no, you know what? No, Cyrus Gold is in Arkham later. Spoiler alert, but
Since we're a couple of minutes in and we've already witnessed 2 crimes, do you think that this Gotham is the same or worse than the Gotham that we normally read about?
That is a good question, because there is lots of messed up stuff in the other versions of Gotham and lots of crimes. I don't know. I would honestly say it's about the same. This is a very brutal Batman, though.
Yep. And we got some blood. Sometimes they don't show the blood, but there it is.
Well, he's crippled that person.
Get off the street now.
Oh, I like that hook. I guess that was the steampunk that week, Dinka. Yeah, this is gruesome. She's suffering. This is not a quick death.
Stabbing seems a pretty bad way to go.
We'll talk more about it as they show the different suspects, but I'm curious, as you were watching the movie for the first time, what your guess was, going in, oh, it's this person, or oh, it's this person.
I think I may have thought it was Harvey going in. Just for,
that was
yeah. I guess normal reasons. Yeah, you got it.
That was my thought, because I hadn't read the comic, so when they said in the comic it's so obvious, so we added more people. I thought that that this was a more direct adaptation of the comic. So when Harvey was being kind of obvious in the movie, I'm like, oh, so it's probably Harvey, because it was, in the comic it was someone that was obvious. So I just got to look for whoever's acting obvious in the movie. And in my mind, that was Harvey. But was it? You'll find out, viewers / listeners.
The World Fair. Always some strange things happen at World Fairs, but they always showcase...
The Hall of Justice!
Oh, there it is, sure. Showcase technology and culture at its highest point at that time.
There's a lot of comparisons to Mask of the Phantasm, and the whole Gotham of the Future World's Fair thing is one of those comparisons.
It's kind of an odd little group of people they have, because they all seem aristocratic and wealthy, and then you have a couple nuns.
Well, society was more religious back then, despite the behaviors of the affluent.
A stairway to heaven.
Ah.
A fully electronical entrance.
Looks like a flashlight.
Yeah, could be a bat signal.
Perish the thoughts.
Mm.
Let's see it. The light tends to show off a bit better in the nighttime hours. But here's a sight you needn't wait to marvel at.
I love how the cops look with their mustaches and bowler hats.
Yep.
Oh, I love this bit coming up. 15 miles per hour.
Can a human body even survive that kind of motion?
And then,
Oh, boy.
Medical expert at Gotham's premier
this is one of my favorite
Ah,
jokes.
there he is.
The human organs can withstand velocities up to 35 meters. Right. And I give you my guarantee as a physician and change. You will live.
Would you trust
30
that guy?
Provide the same assurance to the lady.
He's a scientist, so but I'd probably be cautious like that woman, because but do you think the human body can survive velocities up to 35 miles an hour though?
They should be able to do more than that, shouldn't they? With those crazy roller coasters that have 300 feet drops now.
Belay that ship.
Well, we're pretending that doesn't exist.
Oh, okay, yeah. I like how, Selena pops in and as a social activist just finds the crowd and then is able to turn the attention away from the World's Fair and what really matters.
Just another hoax.
This scene is very, very exposition filled too, because it explains like who every character is. It explains what Jack the Ripper's been doing, how long he's been around. Like when Selena's like, "Oh, you're not protecting the women," and it's like, "Oh, Miss Kyle, you're all better suited for the Monarch Theater where you sing." Like everyone's explaining everyone's role.
My men are working triple shifts, combing every inch of the city.
Gordon,
There he is.
No, I'm pledged.
Your buddy.
I mean,
yeah, I'm gonna hold. I'll say it only once in the commentary
Oh my gosh.
when he does a certain thing, but otherwise I will behave myself.
Well, I appreciate that.
But there's a moment that deserves it being said.
it's what draws these pests in a
That's interesting.
It isn't himself.
There he is.
It's like when the popular kid pulls up in school.
Sure. It's Flash Thompson himself.
Look at them sideburns.
Yeah. Everyone laughs about yeah.
I know.
Oh,
He's got
yeah.
them eating out of his hand.
Sure. Sour faces. I really like.
Ooh,
he's
he
very
likes
handsome.
that face.
Yeah, I know. He's a handsome character design.
Don't worry, son. I was just about to have them.
I love those like giant mutton chops and hats.
Oh, look at that. So I guess the intent of the nuns going to the World Fair, do you think they were trying to stir up some trouble too? Or do you think they were just
No,
really interested in the World Fair?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think that well, this is America though. I was gonna say like religious figures were more like tied to politics back then, but this was only like 100 and something years ago in America where it wasn't like that. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because they were working with Bruce Wayne or something, or because Bruce Wayne like paid for a lot of this, and she's like
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne's friend.
Yep. But then she's able to find, common ground with Selena since she backs her up on what's happening.
Yeah.
One of our so we get some
Pamela.
backstory or history on Pamela.
You said she was working.
She was working.
Then the opium, yikes.
I'm sorry, Bruce. I know those.
I do like how he, legitimately wants to rehabilitate people, and he
Yeah.
he cares about all these orphans.
Yep.
The orphanage is the least I can do.
And now you're in the
And it
Yeah, and
translates
that-
well to this time.
And he tried to send Dickie, Jason, and Timmy to the Leslie.
He sure did, yeah.
Don't say another word. I will not hear you lie. A rich bachelor is always up to no good.
It's weird that this version of Leslie's the nun, because this season on Gotham, Leslie did some very un-nun stuff.
Oh my gosh.
At the same time that this was airing. She was robbing banks with the Riddler.
Wow.
Do you think this version of Leslie knows he's Batman? I don't remember if they established that in this movie or not.
I'm not sure. But they just had that conversation outside the carriage, though, where she says, that the Batman's on the force of, or the side of good. So I wonder if she might know.
Because, like, Gordon's there the whole time, so she won't say anything.
Right, yeah. Oh, he's watching. He's watching. Oh, there you go.
Sick of Mekete.
Some sly hints that it's Catwoman.
Yeah. I like that, like, she doesn't become... I mean, spoiler alert, that she does not become Catwoman in this movie. She's just, like, you know, Selena Kyle, like, talented, you know, woman who could hold her own.
I feel like this entire town is a bunch of back alleys that you should never be walking in.
Yeah, and the street is completely empty.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's outside at all.
Oh, boy.
It's like Jack the Ripper set it up so that, like, there was nowhere for her to go.
And he's watching. I don't understand. Well, I guess he's waiting for an act, but he could just take him out right there.
There's only 3 people in this entire city outside. Ooh.
Yeah, they're all sleeping.
Then why is Selena up? Maybe she was doing some cat burglaring. I like how, like, even though she's trying to get away, she still, like, raises her dress. Like, it's not proper for her to tear her dress.
Well, also, it's hard to run. But this is also classic horror film where, you know, the victim is running, but yet the bad guy is able to reach them by only just walking.
Oh, yeah. I never thought of that. Yeah, she's running, and he's like...
Yeah.
Now, granted, she's wearing, like,
Whoa.
heels, and, like, yikes.
Yeah, he was able
That was almost a headless Catwoman right there. I mean, in good setting with the slaughterhouse.
Whoa. Saw some legs there.
Get a load of them gams, as
Yeah.
Dawn would say if he was here.
Yeah, sure. AKA from Batgirl, what, 353 or something like that?
Or a detective, or, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
I'm running my tights. I like how she's, like, not fearful anymore. She's like, all right, let's do this. This is a very good Selena Kyle movie.
Yeah. I mean, she's no helpless female. She's a femme fatale in here.
And I was surprised when I read the original comic afterwards, like, oh, man, how she's, like, not in there at all, because she was such a big part of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, aside from the setting and Jack the Ripper, this is, like, people who are wondering, this is completely different from the comic. Like, it might as well be called something else.
So I feel
That's not
like,
a complaint.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they had to buff it out,
Yeah.
buff it up somehow. I feel like it's a bit of a hint, the fact that he went after Selena Kyle, just because it didn't seem random that he did know her path and he was able to block off certain aspects of it, and so...
Mm-hmm.
I think there's potentially a hint there.
Yeah, there's a few hints that come up throughout the movie, but...
Oh, he got hit by a pig.
A Professor Pig.
Oh, man.
He loves Selena's neck. He keeps on
Yeah,
going
I
for
know.
the neck.
Love how there's been no monologuing from our villain here. He's just going at it. There's been no
Well, he can't.
discussion at all.
Because then the voice... Unless, like, he does, like, a angel of death, the way, like, we wouldn't know.
Yeah. Wow.
That would have been cool for a goofy sound effect.
Yeah, right.
I had him.
You're a fool. I'll never have a better chance of stopping that butcher. You squandered it playing the knight in shining armor.
Do you think potentially she was using herself as bait to catch him?
No, I think she was surprised to see that stuff and was legitimately horrified at first.
I am quite capable of...
I love that part. She's like, before you offer to escort me home, like,
Yeah.
because again, this was like back then. It's always about escorting them. Here's Barbara Keane.
Oh, no.
What do you mean? Oh no, that's the mother of your pal.
The mother of my pal. Yeah, it depends on the version of whether or not I like her. There she is.
Yeah, we don't see the Barbara Gordon podcast, but she's at least referenced.
Yeah, there she is.
What is it, James? What's wrong?
Dream. Just a dream.
You were gone.
Oh,
Have you seen this since the first time?
No.
Okay.
So you get some of my live reactions of, oh no! I remember some details though.
Can't very
Yeah.
well sit at home while Gotham goes straight to hell.
Yeah, some of this dialogue is good insight to Gordon. Like, I can't just sit around while Gotham goes straight to hell. It gives you some of his motivation for his quest for justice. This reminds me of No Man's Land, where Batman
Yeah.
would show up in Gordon's backyard.
Yeah, his little garden.
Yeah.
I'm on your side.
You just walked right up this time.
I think I said when Don and I did like a thing on this that it's funny that like this is like Gotham by Gaslight, Victorian Gotham, but like Gordon's backyard, it looks like it's from 1950s, you know, Leave It to Beaver.
Other times, Rita, I know a vigilante from the Maine.
Ooh.
This Ripper is far worse than the lunatic you're searching for. He's a skilled hunter, and he's just getting started. You ought to have breakfast with Hugo Strange.
Oh, what do you think a breakfast with Hugo Strange would be like?
I think it'd be really creepy.
I guess he'd sit across the way and,
I don't even know if I'd want to eat. I'd be afraid that he like drugged it.
I think he'd probably psychoanalyze you the entire time. That's all.
I mean, I don't mind being psychoanalyzed. I don't have a lot to, you know, necessarily. I would just be afraid of like the manipulate. I don't know. I don't trust that man.
Stay inside, Barbara. I'll be in directly.
Oh,
Now, surely Batman will be there when he turns around. Oh, he still is.
he
Okay.
was, of course.
I thought he was going to disappear. But yeah, he has to give him that letter.
Explore bedtime. Sure. Perhaps you'll find something useful.
Well, this is kind of interesting that he
I'll leave a
wasn't.
copy of the Ripper file.
He was distrusting Batman, and yet he gives him some evidence.
But understand that this uninvited visit to my
He knows that Batman's going to do this whether he wants it or not.
set apart from all
Here we go.
corruption we've got.
All
Yep.
gone.
There he is.
James, your eggs are ready. Are you sure they'll come inside?
You're
What do you
into
think? We didn't see her, but what do you think Barbara Gordon was like back then?
a young Barbara Gordon?
Yeah, because we know she exists.
probably a studious little nerd.
It must have been hard for her back then because it was women. An educated woman was not a, you know, something that was encouraged. But books and libraries were a bigger deal, so she was probably happy about that. I do like how Wayne Manor is timeless. Like, like this could be like Bruce's study, like in this year, in the 1930s, in the 1970s, or in like the modern day, and it would still look exactly the same with the bookcase and the roaring fireplace and the chair.
I like that Alfred still has his dry sense of humor, his sarcasm.
Some things are timeless.
Yes. Oh.
My favorite part.
Not the suit I was referring to.
My favorite part is coming up. Those books are bigger than Bruce almost. Look at that perspective.
Yeah.
Those are giant books.
Ah, yes, your old chum, Harvey Dent.
Who's a 19th century pervert and a scumbag.
Not the
Yes.
Harvey Dent that we know and love. Yeah.
I love this song.
Here we go.
This is actually a real song too. I looked it up, like from back then, that they would sing in vaudeville and stuff. When we were watching this, I explained to Ben that like the year that this takes place, this was considered like risque, like women showing that much leg and like underwear, and he was like really surprised. I was like, yeah, there was difference to. Oh man, Look at that guy in the front row.
But the fact that there are also, women here too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. God, it sucked to be a woman back then. You're like, boyfriends and husbands would take you to watch like porn, basically. I mean, it's good choreography and music, but like it's basically meant to tantalize the men.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. How does this scene compare to the Birds of Prey song?
I like them
Brave and the
both.
Bold.
I always love singing in Batman.
The 19th century. Don't be such a dinosaur. Wow, prudes are people too, as they said in A Simple Favor. Oh, Gilda.
yeah.
Oh,
we have
man.
to talk about that movie. Yeah, he's having like this open affair. Well, actually, here's the deal. Do you think that like Selena and Harvey have been intimate? Because like Harvey's kind of getting a sense of ownership over her.
I certainly hope.
Do you think maybe he's just like taking her out?
Did you enjoy my
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's like a benefactor of hers, and he like just like goes right in, doesn't even like care that she's like getting dressed. And even though that thing is there, it's just very forward of him.
Of course, yeah.
Harvey
You can
is-
see the silhouette.
Harvey's a scumbag.
It gets worse, I feel, as the night goes on.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Let's see if we can't make our way to a more comfortable establishment before Gordon's killjoy curfew takes effect.
listen?
Oh, there's a curfew. Maybe Selena was going out past the curfew. That's why she was alone and the town was empty. That makes sense. Selena's a very forward-thinking woman for the time.
Also that, I think, no man can, I don't know. I guess that's the way to go, but just, I like how she knows what she has, the power she has, and she knows how to use it.
I like how her and
Oh,
Selena.
look at how they get close, and then
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, I love he falls behind. He's out of step with them.
Yeah,
Closing down.
because, Bruce
Like,
and Selena
he's-
are talking about serious things.
I was starting to suspect there was
Yeah, and they don't care about him. He's out of step with them, and he's bored by their conversation. He just wants to get drunk and have sex.
Steady.
Fetch me a handsome.
Excuse me.
Oh, I know. When he drinks, he's an entirely different
Wah
person.
wah.
A regular Jekyll and Hyde.
Jekyll
Which
and
that
Hyde.
tells you that like she's seen him drunk and
Yeah.
he's been a jerk.
Yeah.
This is my
I wonder if
plan.
he's been
We can
abusive.
catch a handsome.
Catch a
I'll
handsome.
invite you in for a drink. Unfortunately,
I love this part.
at least we still have something.
It's like they're trying to get you to hate him.
Anti-suffragist.
So here we go. Selena in drag.
Sure.
A transgender Selena Kyle.
I don't think the doorman was quite convinced that I'm
If you
But that's like, I love like little touches like that from the period where like, oh yeah, like men only establishments and stuff like that.
Yeah. I feel like they still have those sorts of things, but yeah. Yeah, I like how it's called the Dionysus Club, and since he was the god of wine and revelry.
Harvey Dent's just passed out drunk.
Oh.
And I
she's
like
on
how
the
she
uptick.
sees, she sees through him.
You like to solve mysteries ever since you were a boy. You're studying me.
a fascinating subject.
This is a good Batman Catwoman
Mhm.
romance.
Raised in a small regional circus, probably in a family of performers. That some traumatic event, possibly
Oh, yes. Here he is, psychoanalyzing.
Yeah.
led you to the continent, where you reinvented yourself as a nightclub performer.
Nothing else.
That you take it upon yourself to act as champion of the
Oh,
voices.
champion of the
Which you no
voice.
doubt learned from our mutual friend.
Sister Leslie.
When you say it, it sounds really creepy and that we shouldn't trust her.
She was the one who told me.
No, it's because like somebody, I think it was both like Sister Leslie.
She takes in all the helpless, the hopeless, feeds them, protects
This is when he gets the epiphany. Oh no.
You've been a fool.
Bruce. What?
Fetch me a handsome, quickly.
Oh, my.
I had to look up what that meant.
Oh, no. Not her. Not her.
But, like, it's weird that, like, Jack the Ripper chooses to go after her at the same time that Batman realizes he's going to go after her. Like, why not a different point of the night? Why not the previous night?
Sure.
Or
Well, for
well, the previous night he
convenience,
went after Selina. Yeah.
so that Batman gets in trouble. Sinister news. Oh my.
You know who that is?
No.
That's your pal Tara.
Oh! I thought you meant the character.
There's a moment. There's a
Not too
moment where
surprised.
there's a moment where she yells, and it like you could tell it's Tara.
For sure.
She reminds me of the woman from Sweeney Todd.
Oh, sure. The one who helps make the meat pies?
No, not Mrs. Lovett. The crazy woman in the street that turns out to be his missing wife.
Oh.
Spoiler alert for the end of Sweeney Todd.
Oh my gosh.
Lots of spoilers in here for
I
like
know.
other things.
If only Spoiler Kid were here, he'd be getting all sorts of mystical power.
Every time you reveal a spoiler, he gets like another level in his power bar.
Yep.
Well, this is a rated R movie. He shouldn't be watching it.
Too late, sir. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
He doesn't change to Batman.
I guess there's no time. Because he had to get his handsome.
Another example of like Mask of the Phantasm, because like the killer's other attack is at a graveyard with like an angel tombstone.
Yeah.
Sister Leslie, your angel of death awaits you.
So this is it then.
She knows. Her spider sense was tingling.
Well, big. I won't go hysterical. I won't give you the satisfaction.
But you are going to scream.
I guess out of pain. Who knows?
Yes,
What does she have to scream about?
give you.
Oh.
Wow.
Her death is at least a little cleaner than Ivy's was.
Yeah. Just a one cut.
Yeah, Ivy had like a... Oh.
Pretty sad.
Poor Bruce.
Yeah.
And poor Gotham, because she was rehabilitating so many people.
Yeah.
Like, she really cared.
I took the liberty of
I took the liberty, as he says in Batman and Robin. Or was it... Maybe it was Batman Forever where he said that. I like how this version, the Batcave is upstairs. It's the Bat Attic.
Well, bats do hang, upside down.
Bruce.
That makes more sense.
Yep.
As long as he doesn't sleep upside down. Because that was ridiculous.
I presumed, and I presumed incorrectly. What have you there? It's a membership pin from the Dionysus Club. It was at the scene.
Oh dear.
The Batman will return it to Gordon after my analysis. Yours? You were there. You might have dropped it. No. There's blood spattered on the pin.
So there's your clue.
It was there when the murder happened.
The killer is a member of the Dionysus Club.
Mm-hmm.
Including the man.
So, fingers are pointing to Harvey Dent.
Testing your
Fingers are pointing to everyone, as he says. But yeah, like, Harvey Dent's like the biggest a-hole of the movie.
There are no
Although, actually, like, it is worth noting that Harvey Dent was, like, passed out drunk on the
Yes,
chair
that
when
is true.
Bruce was running.
Yep.
But that could be an act. Or maybe not. I don't know. I'm not going to spoil the revelation for our listeners if this is their first time.
Avenge not yourselves.
What if it's Alfred?
I'd be really surprised.
Or it's Dick, Jason, and Timmy.
Yeah.
They're doing the whole, like, trench coat and, like,
They're standing
stacked
on
on
each
top of
other's shoulders.
like in Little Rascals.
Sure.
Oh, they were there during the first murder. They were at the same time.
I appreciate that Alfred, preached a little bit to try to, and also on the level of Leslie to try to get him to think about things, but
To take unto himself
it's
the
pretty far
soul
gone.
of our dear sister here departed. We therefore commit her body to the ground. Earth
There's Gilda.
There she is.
And Harvey's looking at her like, I'll never cheat on you.
Oh, yeah.
ensure and certain
But his mistress is right there.
life through our Lord Jesus Christ. Who shall change the
Bullock
body
can't
of
even
our
be bothered to
Lord,
stay awake.
that it may be like unto his glorious body.
I like how they always have black umbrellas, always in the rain for funerals.
Yeah, it's never a funeral during like a sunny day. Except in Spider-Man 1.
There are all those handsomes. Oh, there he
Ooh.
is.
Hugo Strange.
B.D. Wong.
You're making the Gotham references.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know who plays Strange in this movie. Who was it again?
It is
Scalpel solves everything. You knew Sister
William Sayers. I'm not familiar with him. I'd have to look him
Yeah.
up to see
I
what
wouldn't
else
know.
what else he has been in.
He is here. I am certain of it.
Hmm.
Jack.
How do those glasses stay on him?
The hatred of all that he feels.
Bridget
There's
Jones.
no,
It's like
uh,
Morpheus
you're-
glasses from Matrix.
A hunger that never dies.
Can't trust a guy with glasses like that.
Oh my, rose-colored glasses.
You know who he is.
Well, no, without
Pardon me.
that don't have ear holders.
Oh,
What is he hiding? How's he holding those in?
Oh man.
Maybe he's Cyclops. If he takes them off, he'll shoot lasers.
Oh great.
I should very much like to tell this Batman I've heard so much about.
Hmm.
All that I know. Then why come to me? You know everyone in town, Mr. Wayne. I'm sure you.
You think Strange knows?
Come to my
I
office.
don't know. I mean, if he's half the alienist
I
as
don't know who.
he's touted as being, then
But he doesn't
potentially
even
he's
know
picked up
how-
on the signs.
He doesn't even know if the body can like withstand like 80 miles per hour.
That's true. Well, I don't think those things exist. Oh, they're back to their.
Yeah.
Go, geezer!
Oh, geezer.
I'm afraid to lack the subtlety to be an effective cat person, fellow Millard. I'm so near a bevy of policemen, too.
That was
man.
weird.
Idiot. You think that's so Sister Leslie want you to ask at her own?
Yeah.
But I'm hungry. Mister, Jason here's not worth the trouble.
Well,
Cut him loose,
if
huh?
I'm surprised he didn't try to steal one of those wheels off of the handsome.
Sister Leslie did what she could for us.
For what purpose? You need a horse.
That's true.
Knock Jason around a little.
I like Dick says that, like, look, knock Jason around a little, like, and I joked to Dawn that then Alfred like takes out the Joker crowbar and beats him, but
Oh
like
my goodness.
but like Dick is like perfectly willing to sacrifice like Jason, like, look, knock Jason around a little bit, like he doesn't even offer himself up. Dick's hair is long, like the 90s.
I know I'm too old not to catch the
That this is where it's clearly Tara Strong's voice.
eyes. It's still good, yeah? They see everything.
I don't quite follow.
Of course, my memory ain't
Uh-oh.
so great. I forget things all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Right.
We're getting to that point where Bruce might be implicated for the murder of Sister Leslie.
I'm afraid you've made a mistake.
Blackmail, but like very, very poorly executed blackmail.
Fighting Bruce Wayne when I tell the coppers what I know.
Coppers.
She gets
Now
loud.
let's just settle down.
Get your hands off me. If you think you can do me like you did Sister Leslie, you're dead wrong, fella.
What's all the commotion?
See, if I actually thought that Bruce Wayne was the Jack the Ripper, I would not confront him because wouldn't that just make me a target?
Skinner's End. Sounds like a terrible place.
I mean, if he really was Jack the Ripper, you just told him, I know who you are and I'm going to tell people, by the way, this is where you can find me, which like pretty much guarantees her death.
Yeah. And why wouldn't the cops start questioning her right then and there? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
This is what the asylums were back. I feel bad because I know that there was people that were like sentenced to these things and they were like innocent and they weren't actually insane, and they'd be like put in those pits with like monsters like that, and just like what a horrible like way to live.
Yeah. Nellie Bly, the first female investigative reporter, went undercover in an insane asylum and had quite an experience.
Yeah. Chloe Sullivan used her as an alias in Smallville when she faked her death.
Chloe.
These masks.
Yeah. Shame what happened to her, but so. But I like things like this. Like, the insane asylum is like the asylums were back then.
Sure, yeah.
Like, there's little touches from the period. Even as Strange is dying, he's like, no, this doesn't make sense. This disputes my research paper.
That's true, yeah. It's antithetical. Oh, man.
I'd stake my reputation on it. You're about to die, dude.
Yeah, so then you have to ask yourself who benefits from him dying. Someone that had seen him talking to Bruce Wayne.
Da, da, da. Yeah. Who was at the funeral? It's Gilda. Or the Handsome. The Handsome is Jack the Ripper.
Oh, my.
Yeah, this is a bloody death.
I mean, what are they doing exactly?
Apparently they're ripping him apart.
Because they're upset? Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Ew, it did say ripping in our closed caption.
Yeah. Well, and I missed it the first few times, but, like, this time, like, I can clearly see, like, yeah, his legs and his arms separate really far. Ooh. He was torn apart, limb from limb.
Do you think he mistreated the inmates?
I mean, if they're in that thing, then yeah, that's mistreatment right there in and of itself. What if you have to go wee-wee?
Whew. Find a corner of the circle, I guess.
It's a lot of... Good luck finding a corner in a circle.
Yeah, that's why I said it.
It's the blimp from the beginning of Batman the Animated Series.
Oh. Oh, dear. Yikes. We should have kept up a body count number.
Poison Ivy and Sister Leslie and Hugo Strange.
And then that guy.
I don't know if that guy's dead.
He just fell from a height. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but...
He bounced when he hit the... thing.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Oh, my.
Okay, so this is another Batman Mask of the Phantasm comparison.
Yeah?
And that, like, there's a scene in the movie where the Phantasm murders someone, and then the cops show up and they think it's Batman, so they chase him, and Batman winds up getting shot. And in both this and Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Batman winds up escaping from the cops the same way.
It's fight time. It's interesting, just the skill that the other person has.
Yeah, which, when they're unmasked, you see, like, a little kind of, like, kill room that they have that, like, shows some of how they got the skill. Fighting quite well for a Handsome.
Yeah.
Let's see, he fell and he was okay.
Gosh. Yeah, so maybe a half. What, 3.5?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was no good medical treatment back then, so he probably died from a blister.
A blister.
Yeah, it's like they used leeches to suck it out, and they made it worse.
Gross.
Yeah, man, that's like... Have you ever seen a Netflix show called Everything Sucks?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's
Is that the reference?
a significant word in that show, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Put up them dukes.
Boy. Yeah, the fighting style is certainly of that time as well. I feel like he's fighting differently than he would modern times.
Mm-hmm. A Zeppelin crash, too.
What is that Zeppelin even doing, though? What is its purpose?
To be a Zeppelin.
I was looking for something a little deeper than that.
Why does anything does what it does?
Well, I mean, is it a weather zeppelin? Is it like people
It's so that
are
Batman
inside it?
and
Oh, come on.
and the Ripper have something to fight on. I
they
almost
could
said
fight on
Batman and
everything.
then hid the name of the guy,
That would
but
have
I'm
been
glad.
bad because we don't know who it is.
Yeah,
Is it a
could be anyone.
passenger zeppelin? I mean, what's going on? Well, they want to blow it up, so I guess not. Oh man,
This is gruesome.
it's like Indiana Jones. You better get out of there. Oh my.
Also reminds me of the first issue of Batman Rebirth when he's on the crashing plane.
Oh, sure, yeah. With Gotham Girl and Gotham.
At least they knew to stop, drop, and roll back then.
Yes. Well, he survived. They both did. Batman seems a little worse than Jack does. Oh, dear.
And just like in Mask of the Phantasm, it's Bullock leading the manhunt, chasing after a bleeding Batman through an alley, like 10 steps behind him, like,
Bulk's a little chubby.
well, he wouldn't be Bullock otherwise.
Yeah, well, in No Man's Land, he's lost so much weight. And they shot that arrow, but it went through his trench coat because he lost all of that. Oh, look who appeared.
Nice of you to join us, Commissioner. Do you mind telling me exactly why we shouldn't shoot the murdering lunatic who's gotten hers all over town? Watch your tongue, Chief.
Whew.
We have witnesses who saw the Batman at the time of the ice. And what about the two men he just killed in Arkham? We don't know.
Okay, so it was two guys.
There'll be no lynch mob on
Aha.
that. Do you understand? We catch him, and
So
if
he's up
guilty,
to
he hangs.
4.
4.
I want him
Yeah.
alive. Now fan out.
That's it. I wonder what his motives are, because that could be an easy capture.
Reminds me of the Arkham Asylum video game where you like have to like
Oh, be
where you
quiet.
hide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stealth missions. I've had to
You
do a
hide
bunch
with-
of those for the Spider-Man video game.
And just like Mask of the Phantasm, his mask is removed as he's running from them.
There he is, yeah. But his trench coat is bleeding, so... Or he's bleeding through his trench coat, so that's going to be a problem. Oh, man.
That's a lot of cops all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't be bothered to, like, be around when Jack the Ripper was stalking Selena Kyle. But, like, now, like, you can't turn around. And just like Mask of the Phantasm, he's rescued by his lady love
Oh,
in a car in an alley.
and a handsome.
Like, I'm sorry, that's almost a shot-for-shot remake. That's not a complaint. It's just an interesting similarity.
Sure. I like how he says, as you surmise, I like slumming in the, yeah. Oh, man.
But
Doesn't
in
even
mistletoe
resist.
Gotham's got a meeting.
can be even deadly
That accoutrement.
when you mean it.
They'll have the
Oh my
entire
gosh.
area cordoned off.
I like how she's just very quick on the uptake. There's just a beat, and then she goes into action.
Stage work.
I wonder if she suspected.
I don't know. I mean, how did she know where to find him? That's the question. Here
Maybe
it
she's the
is.
killer.
This is where we're going to pause and rewind. Oh,
Just been.
man, they're so uncomfortable.
Should head home. Dangerous characters on the streets.
That guy's sideburns, that cop that opened the door. Look how far down they go.
I know. Man.
Have a wonderful night. I think they are.
Yes. And then he calls it
Oh.
like a lucky dog or something. Lucky, but yeah.
You were very convincing.
I'm an actress.
Ooh.
Didn't you know? I'm the toast of Gotham. You, on the other hand, would never make it out of the chorus. You must commit completely.
Ooh.
And how exactly do I do that, Miss Kyle?
Repetition. You must.
He's completely like forgotten about Jack the Ripper.
Well. When Selena Kyle's in your arms, would you do anything?
They buried Sister Leslie this morning.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's hard. That's interesting to think about, just how much time has passed. Oh,
I think each
man.
murder's been a different night.
Oh, so this
If only she hadn't screamed where she friggin' was.
Yeah,
Maybe she'd be
Skinner's
alive.
End. There she is. Number 5. This implicates Bruce further, though.
Dun, dun, dun. And just like Mask of the Phantasm, they wake up next to each other the next morning.
Yeah. Practice makes perfect.
Isn't it frustrating when you wake up from a night with someone and all they want to do is stare at the city that they're protecting by being Batman?
Oh my. I think that happened in Iron Fist, too.
I'm not just another pretty face.
I thought you were going to say something real life. I was like, wait, what? That's not a relatable experience at all.
Oh, Iron Fist
George, I thought the callous
is a relatable experience.
This one's got the hands of a trap.
Oh, yeah, see, yeah, she suspected earlier.
Yeah. So while he was psychoanalyzing her, she was psychoanalyzing him.
Yeah, they're each other's intellectual equals in this show.
Oh my gosh, yes, OTP.
I grew up with those cats.
Oh.
Looked after them. Loved them.
I love this version of Selena.
He wasn't a kind man to them or to me. He always threatened to shoot them. I believed him. One day he tried to, but someone had taken the bullets out of his gun.
And now you look after all the strays in Skinner's End.
Someone has to. They don't have anyone else to protect them.
Yeah, no, Sister Leslie's gone.
Now,
Yeah.
until
And Strays is,
the
yeah,
Batman.
the people.
Does he have a story?
Selena,
My parents were killed by Handsome.
Are you making them pay? The criminals?
I was, but it'd never be enough.
Mm-hmm.
They could never pay enough. Could they?
What a moment. Here's something you don't know about me. I just love it when characters hold hands. It always makes my heart flutter. I just think it's a simple
about
act.
time.
But, yeah. Oh, man, interrupting.
What's the mean to
What if they would have shown up 45 minutes earlier? What would they have walked in on?
Been sleeping, I assume.
What do you want?
She had just woken up.
Bruce Wayne, you are under arrest for the murder of one Marlene Mahoney.
Marlene Mahoney.
Who?
Oh, he's like, who?
Man,
Think hard.
He could use Selena as an alibi. I was
yeah, it's true.
having nookie last night.
You're right. I'll contact Harvey. He'll clear this all up.
I wouldn't be counting on Mr. Dent being too helpful last
At this point, I was like, oh, it's Harvey.
He's the one who suggested we look for Mr. Wayne in your hotel.
Bummer.
Yeah, Harvey be jealous.
Yeah, he sure is.
He's peanut butter and jealous.
Oh, man.
Commissioner James, this is absurd. You can't imagine I'm actually the Ripper. Get him out of my sight.
Oh, no. Not even an old friend will help him out. There he is in the paddy wagon.
Mm-hmm. I remember in the comic, he's like, I thought Harvey was my friend.
The county of Gotham has abundant evidence linking the accused to at least 3 of these vicious
Oh, boy.
crimes. Physical evidence. A lapel pin of the Dionysus Club, to which Mr.
What a
Wayne
jerk.
Yeah,
was
he's not
discovered at
even
the site of
his
Sister Leslie's murder.
defense attorney.
Also, an eyewitness who was overheard placing Mr. Wayne at the scene of the crime. That witness, Marlene Mahoney, was subsequently discovered mutilated in the same barbaric manner as the other victims, after reportedly attempting to extort cash from the accused. Furthermore, the prisoner was also acquainted with Ripper victim Miss Pamela Isley. One wonders how many other lovely young wards. Major point, Mr. Grossman. The accused will be remanded to the custody of Blackgate.
What a horrible friend.
Such time as a trial by jury.
Do you think Donovan would ever prosecute us for murder?
Oh, gosh.
The nature of these crimes is so detestable.
I
Mr. Wayne has
imagine
ample financial
if we
resources
push him,
to escape
push him too
justice.
far.
I request
He
that
might.
the court send
Do you think we already have?
We're pretty darn
the prisoner
close.
to Blackgate prison. Order.
Well, I hope that motherhood changes him.
Oh, man. One can only hope.
Oh, look at that self-satisfied look on Harvey's face.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
Hey, Jack. You're not the only one who can talk.
And back when, like, that's what actually prisoners wore, as opposed to
Sure. The orange.
Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
Blackgate's really aggressive.
Oh, Blackgate.
Red's gonna, like, you know, like, give him a look, like, don't give me up for what happened in the pool.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you.
Oh, check out.
Well, here's an Orange is the New Black question for you.
Why are you asking me on this commentary?
Which wing of the prison do you think Bruce would be in? Of the different wings?
Selena, what are you doing?
If he were female?
No place for a lady.
Yeah, if he was in the female jail.
They make this seem like a command performance.
Maybe Florida, because he's, like, rich.
Oh, okay. So the new wing. I was thinking about back when they were in the other place.
Yeah, I'm thinking this season with, like, the different wings.
I guess so, yeah. He'd have to buy his way in there. But Florida's also, it was more the old people place.
That's true, too.
It was all the retired people.
Unfortunately, my nocturnal habits preclude me from providing an adequate account of my whereabouts.
I'm surprised someone could visit, especially, a woman. Well, he did say that, but
What?
just how she got in there.
You must. Batman has an ironclad alibi for the first murder. You'll be released. Gotham needs...
What's his alibi for the first one, the Ivy one? He was with Dick and Jason, but, like...
But then he and, whatchamacallit, Jack were both there at the same time. Oh my. Do you think she has a right to do that?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
But whether it's a right or not, it is the right thing to do, to exonerate your friend from jail. Well, even if they're going to be mad at you, I would totally, like, say, like, yeah, you know, like, I don't care if you're mad at me. You're on death row. I am going to do what I think is good for you.
Chow time, Your Highness.
Oh yeah, ink pen. It seems like he got along with a lot of ink.
Listen to me. Bring this to
I like this part.
and my man there will give you $100.
$100.
You think I can be bought? Get it there within 30 minutes. I'll give you $200.
And keep in mind, this was $200 back then.
Yeah,
That was-
so it's a...
That was probably, like, 3 months' salary.
Look at that. Who would even understand that weird stuff?
Well, Alfred, of course.
Yeah, I know. Of course. Yes, thank you.
Cyrus Gold. I remember he's one of these guys. Which is actually funny, because this is the time period that Cyrus Gold is supposed to be from. Because when Cyrus Gold first appears in, like, Green Lantern as Solomon Grundy, he was, like, from this time period, but he had been in the swamp so long.
That he had changed.
Yeah.
No weaklings. Can't get good enough odds against you. I'll beat you in private later.
No time like the present.
I wonder what people are going to look back at this time period when they do these Elseworld movies.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
How different it is. that
Steampunk has
also
such a
was-
following that I'm surprised there haven't been more movies. Not of DC necessarily, but just, like, in general.
There was one. I didn't see it, but I'm trying to remember. It was like Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow or something.
Oh, yeah, with Jude Law and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, something like that. We're like minutes from finding out who the killer is. So listeners, take your final guesses.
Bum, bum, bum. There she is. So she seems like she actually
You never slow down.
has a good amount of money in her side job. I mean, that she's able to afford her own carriage and her own.
I
flight
mean,
and everything.
she's the lead actress at like the Monarch Theater where she sings. So I'm assuming that gives you some level of comfort. And then you got people like Harvey, who's like probably her benefactor of hers.
James isn't here.
Oh, that's
He's
true.
down at the fairgrounds making sure everything's
Yeah, he like tries to slut shame her here because
Ugh.
you know she picked Bruce.
Yeah.
So Alfred sent them to do the job.
So you keep telling us. What? He said to unload it here. I still say we take it off of the horse or whatever this is.
And skedaddle.
How do you think the three of them met?
Oh, gosh. Do you think they're at all related, any of them?
No, I think that they look different enough, and I like to imagine in my fan mind that because, like, they're not related in the other continuity, that they're not in this one. I think kids just, like, they stick together if they're alone and have no other family, so maybe they're orphans for similar reasons that they were in the other continuity, except they didn't have a Batman at that time to adopt them. So kids find other kids and they stick together for survival.
Oh my. Seems to put herself in some bad situations.
Yeah, I mean, she wants to help her friend, though, but he does not like cats.
What are you doing?
Okay, woman.
You're Miss Hyde, the actress, aren't you?
Yes, Commissioner. We met before.
They did meet before.
Bum, bum, bum.
You gave quite a start.
Everything's so proper. They walk together like that. He really wants to stop Selena from telling on him. Yeah, I love how, like, he doesn't want Selena to tell on him, so he, like, just, like, goes to the house, like, what's he expecting to happen? Like, oh, Selena, don't tell him anything.
Oh, boy.
You mustn't harm him.
Here we
He's
go.
a good man. The best man in this horrible city.
Did a woman come here looking for
He cares about his secret identity.
No. I should hope not.
The Gordon cave. Dun dun dun.
It's all being revealed.
His Civil War record. I like the picture of him boxing.
Yep. So we
The
get a
Bay-
hint about him.
The Bay Harbor Butcher.
Mm. Looks like a medical.
He's got, like, organs in there.
Yep. That's not odd at all.
So that dream he had about Jack the Ripper killing Barbara, that was him dreaming about killing his own wife.
Yep.
And, like, when you go back and listen to that scene again, he's like, I had a dream and you were gone. And he's telling her, I have to do what I can to rid the city from sin. So, like, it's all... That scene gets, like, a whole new meaning during the second viewing.
Not with us. No. He's gentle as a lamb with us. He simply burns the sin out of us.
Oh, no.
We need him to.
So is the we talking about her children then?
Yeah, so poor Barbara Gordon. Maybe this is how James Jr. becomes a psycho, but...
Maybe. Blame his dad.
So this makes you wonder, though, after this movie's said and done, what happens to poor Barbara Gordon Jr.?
who else but Bruce Wayne?
What if she becomes a psycho and James Jr. becomes, I don't know, Robin?
That'd be a good sequel. She could have a little romance with Dickie, the, like, street boy versus, like, the commissioner's daughter.
Oh, gosh. And then kill him?
Whoa. I thought you were a shipper. This is slash fic, but not that type of slash. It's like...
But I said she's the one that becomes the... Oh, no.
That was your idea, not mine.
Oh, okay. So we were just going off of two different stories.
But you were like, oh, and she kills him. I'm like, like, you want your ship to be a murder ship.
Of course.
Oh.
Solution of law.
Yeah, this is horrifying.
3% heroin. Great. Oh, man.
Barbara's physician. So even in this continuity, Barbara's like into like painkillers and addiction drugs. Because remember, like that first season of Gotham, she like was
oh gosh,
she had like a drug pass with Renee.
Yes. The Renee that never comes back.
Yeah, she still hasn't. We only have 10 episodes left to go, so we don't think she will.
Oh, okay. She'll be in Batwoman on the CW.
Maybe they could give it to the same actress, hopefully, so that give her another chance. So yeah, it's funny too because at the press, like when I went back and I listened to the press, we asked Gordon's actor, "Do you have any favorite lines or moments?" And he gave me a very, very cagey answer, and this was why, because like he couldn't say or reveal something that would indicate he was the killer.
Yeah. I wonder now, knowing that he is, I wonder what he would say. Maybe
probably or damn slut or something.
Oh my gosh, the blood.
Yeah, it's the blood signal.
Yeah, the blood signal. Well, good thing. So this helped, this exposition scene that you talked about at the beginning helped that she was there, because otherwise she wouldn't know her way around here.
Well, the exposition. Oh, Sister Leslie, who owns the orphanage, and Miss Kyle, and our alienist Hugo Strange, and the singer of the Monarch Theater. And
well, otherwise, do you think? I guess we'd maybe figure it out. Well, no, because if you didn't, then you'd wonder why Hugo Strange was talking to him at the funeral. And Selena, you could figure out on your own, but Sister Leslie, you could probably figure that out on your own. I'd say Hugo's the only one that demanded some sort of thing.
So, is there another Batman movie that you can think of that has a showdown with the killer at the World's Fair?
Is this a trick?
It's another Mask of the Phantasm.
I know. Except it's defunct, right? Isn't it old?
Yeah. Someone brought up at the press thing for this, like, or no, it wasn't the press thing. It was after they screened the movie for us in the theater, and they did like a Q&A. Someone said, was this like Mask of the Phantasm on purpose? And they said that it was completely unintentional.
What, was that you? Were you the obnoxious person who asked that?
No, I was...
No, you just sounded like Emperor Palpatine.
No. It's, but like, they said, don't spoil who the killer is, and they said, tell all your friends it's Harvey Dent. Oh,
man.
It's all about them sins.
Yeah. This is interesting because he's actually taking his time with her, whereas the other ones, I mean, he basically just gutted them and that was it. Which goes against, what
he has more time
culture,
because of the drug.
That's true. So do you think with all of his victims, though, he had intended to bring them back, but, Pamela was causing a racket and he had to leave and all those?
Well, Pamela took a little while. That was a bloody one. Sister Leslie, he just kind of like snuffed out.
All work and no...
I think also because they're alone at the World's Fair, he's afforded like more time, whereas like with Sister Leslie and Poison Ivy, they were semi-public places where you can possibly be interrupted at any moment.
Do you think their bodies can take the centripetal force right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost 35 miles per hour.
Oh, my gosh.
We need Hugo Strange.
No, it's 15.
We need Hugo Strange, but he's unfortunately, his body couldn't take the centripetal force of being ripped apart.
Oh, my gosh. From every direction.
Here's some exposition.
Bare knuckle champion Culpepper. You think Culpepper, Virginia?
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's where my uncle and aunt live.
I know.
And my cousins. I want to go back. Yeah, during the war. Which I'm assuming it was the Civil War. I was trying to think of like what the most recent war would have been. Because this is like before World War One.
You just said Antietam, which is a battle in the Civil War. So I believe so. Which
is weird that like the Civil War always seems like ancient history to me, but like they there was like, this is like a generation that like remembers it.
Oh my gosh. Get out of there. Well, she's drugged. I guess she can't do much.
Yeah, she's got that drug slowing her down.
3
And
parts
like-
heroin, 1 part alcohol.
Like Mask of the Phantasm,
Oh
there's
my.
like a fire
Yeah.
destroying the fair. I mean, these aren't stretches here. These are
Yeah.
like...
And that's
I
why you
believe-
had to ask them at the museum of...
I
whether it was
didn't
in-
ask. Whoa.
I bet you did. Or you made a little spoiler kid ask it.
Was the thing like Mask of the Phantasm?
Oh, man.
When we did our DC and DC like look back episode, because like they said at the thing, like tell all your friends it's Harvey Dent, he said, "Oh, by the way, everyone, the killer's Harvey Dent," and I edited, I bleeped him saying that, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Like, he was only following Gary's instructions.
Sure,
but
yeah. Oh, man, this has gotten intense.
Wives, they're the worst prostitutes of all.
Wow.
Sell themselves to cheap
Yikes.
So-
wives. Mothers, that slut nut.
Oh, my heavens. Leslie
Yeah,
of
so-
all people.
Donovan brought up the point here that like no woman is good enough for like this version of Gordon. He's like, wives and nuns are like, you know, horrible. It's like, I'm sorry, but like, what type of woman meets his standards? Not even like nuns and wives, which would be like the purest. He's becoming unhinged.
Batman always seems to be bleeding from his nose.
I paid Houdini $300 for that trick.
Oh.
Fight's over. Time to go.
Man. I don't think he'll go out. He won't go out like this.
All right, I said I was only going to do it once,
What is
and
it?
it was a time when it was earned.
Uh-huh.
Here we go. Almost cop!
Oh my gosh. I'm glad
That-
it's
that-
only once.
Yeah, that's a homeless cop moment right there. Andrea!
Gosh. What a sad film.
It was. This is a little sad too. I feel bad about Leslie. She was such a good force. And that poor guard.
So I was pretty
Oof,
shocked
fell
when it
from
turned
the
out
bluff.
to be Gordon, and I was also shocked when I saw what he had done to his wife as well. So they didn't telegraph it. I think there are hints there if you look for them, but otherwise
Yeah.
I thought it was a good surprise.
Yeah, and in a second and third viewing, like, you will see stuff and hear stuff. And they brought up in that little Q&A afterwards that, like, yeah, he's dreaming about killing his own wife. And, like, he, like, wakes up and talks to her about it. Because she knows what he's doing.
My actions were quite questionable.
Uh-huh.
And now they have a Batman family.
Aww.
You know, where there's smoke, there's fire. And there you'll always be, sir.
They could form a little Batman club.
They could. There they go off. This is like Gone with the Wind right here.
These belong to
Do you think they did that
Arthur.
on purpose?
Lord knows, sir. They belong to you.
Oh,
All three of them at once.
good lord, no, sir.
Actually, that would be kind of nice. This version of Batman gets, like, a wife and 3 kids all at the same time.
Yeah.
He could be happy. And hope, I mean, just poor Barbara Gordon, you know, a psycho mother and a dead murderer father that abused her.
Yeah.
Oh, see, yeah, Dick Grayson's the optimist.
Yeah, so what do you think happens to Gordon's wife after this? Do you think she loses it with him not there anymore?
Well, I mean, she's probably going to prosper without him there to abuse her and like basically give her Stockholm syndrome.
Well, I think she already has it, don't you?
Well, but that's what I mean. Like, now that he's gone, she could hopefully get. I mean, and now that Hugo Strange is dead, maybe there'll be a new psychiatrist that can actually like legitimately help her, and not be like, "Oh yes, the human body."
Oh boy. Okay. So as the credits roll, what are your how would you what do you think about this? What do you think about this movie overall, and how does it rank with the other Batman films that you have seen in the animated universe?
In the animated, I like this one a lot. I liked it better than like I have to like think of the other movies. Like I like it better than Under the Red Hood. I haven't seen a lot of the animated ones, truth be told. I think I like it better than Batman and Harley. Because that movie was strange. It wasn't bad, it was just like strange. That would be like not a Halloween commentary for you. That would be like an April Fool's Day commentary or something.
I think it have to be. Yep.
So that was something else right there. This was good. It was it's horror meets Batman really, really well, because Batman's world is horror. It works, it meshes. And as I mentioned throughout the commentary, I like how they utilize the time period that they were in. They didn't just like I was talking to Don as I was watching Take a Shot, because we've said his name so many times, but when I was watching Legends of Tomorrow, I said like there's times where like people will go back in time in a movie or a TV show and they just like play music from that time period and dress up and do movie cliches, but they don't actually play with the time period. But like with here, there's like, you know, and not just the language, but like the subtleties of like, oh, the men's only clubs and the attitudes at the time, and did different things. And I like that. There was things that I never would have thought about, or I would have taken for granted. And I had to explain a lot of the historical stuff to Ben that time. And he told his mom when he like got back from the trip, like, I learned that in the 1800s, if you saw a woman's leg, that was considered pornography.
Oh man, if only we could get back to those simple times.
Yeah, check out the ankles.
Oh gosh, I keep thinking that Sherlock Holmes is in this film.
Yeah, when you said that at the beginning, I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about, but maybe I forgot something.
I don't know why each time I'm about to watch it or do something, like I feel like he's going to be in the film. I must be thinking of some other Sherlock Holmes and Batman team up.
Well, like he referenced Houdini. I was like, maybe he referenced Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
or like I forgot.
So apologies to that at the beginning, but I was so certain. And I think I was certain too. I think I've told somebody at work that, oh, you should see this film because Sherlock Holmes is in it. So, which is not good because they're not going to watch things anyways. And then I'm
just tell them that Sherlock Holmes was Harvey Dent.
Oh, sure, yeah.
The drunken pervert.
Oh my gosh, and the defense attorney against his BFF. I mean, to whom would you recommend this film, do you think?
Batman fans in general. I mean, I guess I would recommend it to Dustin, to Ed, to Stephanie, to Tom, to I'm thinking of who else, to Bailey, to I'm just going through like BTO like guests at this point, but yeah, to Batman fans.
Yeah, I would also recommend it to Batman fans. I think I would recommend it to steampunk fans or fans of this particular era, or people who might have an interest in Jack the Ripper and just to see how those worlds combine. But I enjoyed it. I would watch it again. I recommend it. I think it's a good thriller and suspense movie to have for Halloween, and I'm happy to watch again. And I think it's also a great film for any Batman and Catwoman or Bruce and Selena shippers to also watch, because I think there are just some really wonderful moments there, not only with the sexiness in the handsome, but also with their conversations as well. And just, you can really tell, I think, with how they act around one another and the words that they say, that, like you said, they're intellectual equals. I think they're equals on many levels.
It's too bad that they didn't wrap up all the plot threads, though.
What plot thread would you say is still?
Well, they never resolved the question.
Oh, about tame women?
Yeah, we don't know if we can tame wild women.
I think the answer is no. I think Gordon was on that path to do it, and the way he was attempting to do it was wrong.
That's what his whole mission was.
Yeah,
he was trying to tame the women.
And then he tried with Selena, but no, it
he
didn't
tried
work
with
out for him.
Ivy.
Yep.
He tried with Leslie. He tried with Maggie McGee or whatever her name was.
Maggie McGee.
I don't know what her name was.
I think it was Marlene.
Yeah, it was some Irish thing. Yeah,
sure. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So wow.
Yeah.
That's something new that I didn't get from my first few viewings. Yeah, Can You Tame a Woman? It's Jack the Ripper's theme song.
That's what he's trying to do. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for joining me. I'm glad that we got to do this.
Me too. This was fun, especially since you wouldn't take up my invitation to see the premiere.
I know.
So now we finally got to watch it together.
Yeah, I know what I was doing that weekend, and the Friday was a really long day where at middle school we do an extravaganza, which goes to like midnight.
You were bowling or something.
Yeah, it's like a multi-leveled thing that we do. It's usually we go to Wintergreen and do tubing, and then there's bowling, and then there's ice skating, there's a talent show. It's all this insane stuff. It used to be 24 hours, so I'm glad that it's not anymore. But yeah, so that's what I was doing. That's why I didn't do it. Do I regret it? Yeah. I mean, I wish there were more time in the day because the museum is actually my favorite museum up there in DC, and it would have been fun to be with you and spoil a kid. But I'm glad that you got to experience it, and I experienced it through you by listening to that, which I recommend that you guys go over to. It was on Gotham Chronicle. It's on that feed, isn't it? Or is it on the TV
No,
specials?
it's on the specials feed.
Okay.
I think I did a Gotham Chronicle episode just covering the Gotham interviews of it, but the TV Universe specials feed, Ben and I did do an episode where you can hear the Gotham by Gaslight interviews, which is it's like Jim Krieg, Yuri Lowenthal, Scott Peterson, and a few Patterson, a few other people, and
yeah.
you could hear the moment where where Ben is put on the spot and they say, "Oh, what's your question for me?" And he doesn't know what to say because he doesn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, this is a nice transition. Where can listeners find you now, and also where can readers find you?
Oh man, we're all over the place. The Gotham Chronicle podcast for listeners is I guess it's on hiatus. We'll be doing some episodes because of New York Comic Con interviews and stuff like that. But and we have some stuff planned for over the hiatus of Gotham. But Gotham Chronicle podcast, which Stella helped us launch years ago, is entering its final season. We have 10 episodes of Gotham left, and then the series is wrapping up. The podcast has changed a lot since the days of Stella, if you guys left the show when Stella did, because we become basically a musical comedy show. It happened so gradually that nobody saw it coming. So there's that. I am occasionally on Clone Saga Chronicles, covering the Clone Saga with a former crawl spacer, which is how Stella and I met. Zach Joyner.
I don't even know how that show hasn't ended yet.
And they keep on publishing clone stories. There's that. Ben Riley has his own series now.
Oh, okay. So you're doing modern stuff now?
Well, we're still doing the old Clone Saga too, but
okay.
We've taken diversions from the regular Clone Saga a lot to cover the new stuff. And I think that's all of the audio things because I'm trying to do less audio. I still do writing stuff for the BatmanUniverse.net, but now I am also a contributor for fansided.com, where I write for a few websites of theirs. There's hercape.com, which focuses on female heroes, and there's bamsmackpow.com, where it's interesting because whenever I go to these conventions like San Diego and stuff, I do write-ups for Dustin for Batman and sometimes greater DC Universe stuff. But if I go to a Marvel thing or something The Flash or whatever, I can't really use that for TBU. And now that I'm on this site, it's a whole new world of stuff. It's oh, I can publish this article from Shyler Lee that I interviewed at Comic-Con about gun control. So it's the possibilities have opened up, and that's good. And there's possibly a new project that I'll be working on with them, but that's been interesting. And possibly some other new writing stuff that will be coming up that as of this recording I can't announce yet, but hopefully that will change real soon. And unfortunately, I have to be ominous about it.
That's fine. We eagerly await the announcement.
Yeah, if unless my benefactor pulls out.
Well, remember, you can send any questions or comments to backroletoracle@gmail.com. If you have anything to write to Josh or to Spoiler Kid, you can send it my way, and I will forward it to the interested parties. You can, I don't know if they'll write to Spoiler Kid, but you absolutely can send your fan mail for him to me. You can also find the show on Google Play and Stitcher, like the show on Facebook, or follow it on Twitter @BatgirlTheOracle, and follow the Batman Universe on Facebook and Twitter as well. And once again, thanks to Mile High Comics for sponsoring Batgirl the Oracle, the Barbara Gordon podcast. Thanks again, Josh, for coming on, for giving me your time. I know you've been on like a 15-hour work shift, and once we click end, you'll be sleeping. So I appreciate you staying up a little bit longer to do this.
This was fun. If I'm going to lose sleep, this would be one of the things I would lose sleep for. Unlike, remember that one anniversary show where my brother slept through it?
Oh man! Yep.
And you sang that song.
I did sing that song. It was well timed. Timed. Yep. Okay. Well, until next time.
Can you tame Babs lovers? So fly on, Babs lovers. You read the Barbara Gordon, Cassandra Cain too. You like the Stephanie Brown, but to Misfit you say poo-poo, so will you read Barbara Gordon?
Oh, yeah.
I just made all that up. Yeah.
I could tell. I just waited. I thought, I'm sure he'll do something. So there you go.